Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push. What's happening? It's episode 37 of Knowledge to Currency. I am Senator Porter, and I have a special guest, Dante Pena, here. How you doing, sir?
How you doing? Thank you for having me, man.
I appreciate you coming on the show. I would like to bring you on the show for several reasons. One, I like you and I like what you represent. And then also want to talk about different subjects when it comes to real estate. You are a real estate investor, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Started off wholesaling.
Yeah. And then are you from California?
Born and raised in Oceanside.
OC. Nice. And then you didn't start out in real estate though, right?
No. I've been doing sales and marketing since I was 18.
Right.
I was actually going to go to school to be a chef.
Oh, really?
I like cooking.
So you can cook?
Yeah, I chop it up a little bit.
All right.
And so then I got into a sales job when I was 18 selling phones in the mall,
Right.
And that kind of built my shell because you get people trying to avoid you all day, and the minute they make eye contact, they're like, huh. I still try to get them to talk to me. So that built me for rejection. And then, kind of grew from there. Started at age 20 working for a loan company. Okay. And the loan company, no one was qualifying. The market crash. It was 2006, 2007, and market crash. So they transitioned to loan modification. So we're helping people prevent themselves from going into foreclosure, renegotiate their loans with the banks. We worked really close with underwriters, and that's where I started kind of learning how to get into the real estate space. And then, that kind of fell off, went back into the corporate realm. So, kind of went back to cell phones, but through the corporate environment, they paid well, they had really good benefits. Just not a corporate guy. Not a corporate guy. So studied to get my license in Texas.
Okay.
That's because I moved to Texas in 2012. While getting my license or trying to, a realtor friend of mine was like, you don't even need your license, man. You can just learn how to wholesale. And I'm like, wholesaling, what's that? And he was like, watch these videos. So he sent me Sean Terry. You know who Sean Terry is?
Mm-mm.
Flip to Freedom, Sean Terry. We call him the godfather of wholesaling because he was like the one that kind of started making videos of it. And so between watching his videos and reading this book called The Wholesaling Real Estate Bible by, I believe his name's Dan Merrill.
Yeah, I heard him.
That helped me get my first deal. And so I remember I had my corporate job, and me and my manager in my corporate position we weren't really getting along very well. And
sure.
So I was like, look, bro, I'm just going to give you my 2 weeks, and you're going to give me my vacation time, and I'm going to be out. And then 3 weeks later, I closed my first wholesale deal, and it was like $30,000, and the wire hit, and you're like, oh my God, it worked.
So then how did that feel? You got the money?
Mm-hmm. Was hooked ever since. Did a couple more deals. Then I was like, man, I kind of want to do a flip. So did my first flip and made $4,500.
Dang.
So that was a learning experience. The one thing I can say from that deal particularly is if you're not going to make a lot of money on a deal, you're definitely going to learn a lot. And so if we're talking, knowledge to currency, like there's a lot of value in the knowledge that you gain from any deal that you get, regardless if you make money off it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So you actually wholesale the deals, meaning that you should probably explain because some people may not know what wholesaling means.
So wholesaling is just simply like you contract a property, right? So you get a purchase agreement. Purchase agreement says, hey, I'm going to buy Senator Porter's property for X amount of dollars. And then we go and we find a cash buyer and we say, hey, we got this property under contract. We're going to sell you this contract to this property for X amount of dollars. And they fund the deal and we get the difference. And that's pretty much it. You let the title work or the title company or the escrow company do all the rest.
So you don't need any money to do it. You basically are the middle man between the paper. So
$0, correct.
See, I'm gonna want to sell my property. I say, hey, can you help me find a buyer? We agreed to terms and an amount.
Correct.
And then you say, hey, I know a buyer. Then you go to buyer A, and then you guys work out the terms, and
Yep.
and then basically I get my money, you get your money,
Correct.
and then they get the home.
So I say, hey, look, we got an agreed upon price.
Right.
And you and I agree on that price and say, I know somebody that's going to buy it for this much. Say, hey, I got a buyer. I'm pretty much going to get paid by him. Whatever your number's your number, right? So as long as you get your number, you're happy.
Right.
Exactly.
Compared to the flip, you bought the property, you got a whole bunch of contractors, did a bunch of work, and then that probably took more time.
Yeah, like at least 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
And then you made not even a quarter of the amount of money.
Makes you want to just wholesale because it's like less liability.
That doesn't seem like a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Kind of makes me want to only wholesale.
And then you own I guess an investment real estate company, right?
Yeah. So it's Perseverance Properties. We got a couple different ones. So we actually specialize in Southern California. We buy in Texas as well. I'm starting to try to tap into the Florida market, Tampa, St. Petersburg. I own a duplex in Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
And I think we're actually working on a triplex right now in Indiana. They want like 50 grand for it. And I mean, if it works out, the cash flow on that is, ridiculous. So just on a cash flow play, it makes sense. And then, after learning fix and flip and, wholesaling, we did creative finance that we added to the tool belt. And those are personally my favorite because if I can get into a property with minimal money and zero interest, which is my favorite because the banks are offering like 6-7 right now. Right. I'm going to do 0% all day.
So let's talk about creative finance. How does that work?
So creative finance is a lot of legal terminology behind it, but essentially, let's say the owner's free and clear on the property and they don't own anything to the bank. And I tell them, hey, you want to be the bank? Because a lot of times as an investor, you need really deep discounts to buy it, either cash or hard money. And so, hey, I'd be willing to give you a little bit more money if you're willing to give me a little bit more time to pay you. So what you're essentially doing is you're leveraging your money for time, and then that gives you your time to do your exit strategies of whatever you want to do. So, for example, I had a subject to property where I just took over the payments. He was tired of dealing with it. It was a rental property. He didn't want to be a landlord anymore. I was like, man, let me just take over your mortgage. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars once I get this thing sold, right? And then, we're going to walk away happy. And so I think he walked away with like 20 grand and I made like 10, 15 after paying back the money I got back and all that other stuff. So
in that type of situation, do you have to put money in to start the program?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to pay the mortgage. If there's utilities, you got to pay the utilities. I mean, but it's very minimal, right? So like the mortgage on it was like $600.
Sure.
Plus $100 in utilities. So $700 a month to take over payments on a house. People would probably be like, where do you do that? Right.
So then do you usually do that for investment or could you actually live in it if you wanted to?
You can do either or. Yeah. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know Pace Morby.
Yep.
Pace Morby lives in a sub-2 house, which inspired me to want to find a sub-2 house here in San Diego. So anybody out there got a property that they can sub-2 with land that I can build on? Holler at your boy.
Yep. So in that situation, it could be they have like a whole bunch of repairs that need to be done to sell it. That like maybe foundation or roof or something they don't have the money for. Right. So if they were to list it the traditional way, the realtor would say, hey, I need you to fix this. I need you to fix this. But with your way, you're saying, hey, let's just you and I work together. We'll write up some type of contract. I'll agree to an amount. Let's just say, I don't know, $2,000 a month or $1,500 a month, whatever. I pay that to you every month until I decide I'm going to sell it in a year or 2 years. Right. And then I could get in there and do all the fixing I need to fix, get it up to selling, condition. Yeah. And then we list it.
Yeah. And then what we do is we secure whatever money we owe them by a lien on the property. So like now their money's secured, right? Yep. That's what makes it kind of easier for them. And if they're not really in a hurry to get their money or just depends, it's all case by case. Sure. Right. So we can't obviously get lucky with sub-2s all the time. Right. But I'm definitely mastering it. with the amount of knowledge I have, I'm still a student of the game, and you know, having my student cap is probably one of my biggest things. You know, that saying, I think is a Chinese, what do you call this? A Chinese proverb says the man who thinks he knows it all is a fool, right?
Sure.
And so I try to be the dumbest guy in the room and just kind of soak up stuff. So, you know, going to like meetup events really helped me like learn. I always learn something. If you can get a golden nugget or two from going to meet some people, then we do that stuff. So, but yeah, that's a way of doing it. Another way is just taking over payments, putting a renter in and trying to cash flow off it. If you want to make, you know, a few $100 off of it with little to no entry, you know, that's another option. So again, case by case basis. So yeah.
And then most of the reasons why somebody would do that is, like you said, they don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tax benefit, I'm assuming, because they're not taking the
avoiding capital gains. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we're able to give them more money. So cash buyers, wholesalers, they're kind of stuck at a threshold, right?
Okay.
And a lot of the sellers, they don't want to be stuck at that threshold. They want more for their money. You know, we buy, you know what, 5-10 properties a month. These people maybe buy 1 or 2 properties their entire lifetime. So they're not used to this process. So, you know, they're wanting to pretty much cash out on their investment. And so, you know, if they don't really need to sell in a hurry, but, you know, they want to sell, we give them that as an option.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you use hard money ever for some of the stuff you do?
Yeah.
So talk about actually, how that works.
So typically, if we do take it down, you're looking at maybe just 20% of the purchase price, maybe 15%, depending on the area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get like an interest-only payment. So I believe last hard money we did was 20% down. I think it was 10%, 10.25, and then a 2% origination fee. And then when we sold, we obviously paid them back. And then they covered 100% of the renovation. So you actually don't even have to pay for the rehab. You just get what's called a draw system. So once they finish the work, an inspector comes out, checks the work, makes sure it's done. Money gets immediately wired to the contractor, and then we just make the interest-only payment.
So then I guess let's kind of look at it as a beginner. So if you were to try to do this on your own, how do you find the contractors and that kind of stuff?
A lot of trial and error. Right? So my biggest advice, if you're brand new trying to do a fix and flip, is team up with like somebody experienced,
like you,
and then learn from them, because it'll probably save you a lot more money than trying to do it on your own. I know a lot of people that get greedy in this game, or they just want to make the whole pie,
right? But
it's going to cost you a lot of money, you know, learning lessons. So me, the one thing that I've done since the very beginning is I've collaborated with a bunch of people.
Sure.
And that definitely lowered my risk, as well as, you know, help with my learning experience. Okay. And so I kind of like to help people do the same thing. Like, hey, you know, this is what I did. So if you want to go that route, you can. And so that's kind of, you know, what works best for us.
And then you guys just split it down the middle? Or?
Yeah, it's all negotiable. It's negotiable. So, you know, some deals might be 50-50. Some deals might be like 75-25.
Right.
It just depends on the deal. So, I always just do a case-by-case basis.
And then if you were to buy in an area that you're not familiar, like let's say someone say, hey, I got a deal in Delaware.
Right.
And you don't know anyone there, what would you do in that type of situation? But it's a deal, like based on what you see, the numbers and everything.
That'd be a tough one, man. We'd probably just start marketing for buyers and try to do our best to get it closed. So... But I'm going to be honest, man, if I haven't done market research, I usually don't go into the market. I'll tell you, right. I don't know anybody. Like, I can't help you with this one. You know, like, I'm just going to be straight up. But if it's a market that I'm like, you know, maybe a little bit familiar with, don't really know it, but I might know somebody, right. I might just direct you to that person. And then, hey, you know what? I hope it works out. Good luck. Okay.
So you say you definitely want to have somebody there on the ground doing, you don't want to try to do this virtual.
Absolutely. Boots on the ground is one of the most important things. And so, you know, for my business, I travel a lot. And so one of the things that I've made a big part of my business is meeting as many people as possible in the location you're at. Sure. Because of that, I now have a lot of connections with boots on the ground. So you know, we got a duplex in Ohio, and I've never even been to Ohio. Like
Right.
I haven't been to Ohio yet, but I know that we're getting, you know, $700-800 a month in cash flow from Ohio.
And you know some people out there.
Yeah.
So
we
that
got
helps.
we got a couple contractors, and then we have a realtor who specializes in property management that we found, and she's awesome. So it works out pretty well.
So you still work with realtors then?
Oh, I work with realtors a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Like, one of my biggest wholesale deals came from a realtor.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of my business is based off referral. So we have our typical marketing, you know, campaigns and, you know, which way we do stuff. But we still do a lot of referral. We do a lot of JV work where we team up with newbies or just other people that have a deal and they don't know what to do with it.
Right.
I like to consider myself a creative real estate investor. So if we can figure out a way to make some money off of it, great. But if it's a dead deal, it's a dead deal. It just depends. Yeah.
And then how big do you want your team to grow to be?
Man, I'm going to be honest. I kind of want to run lean.
Okay.
But we do have, you know, like 2 or 3 VAs. I got my operations guy kind of runs everything for me. And then I still kind of run stuff in the background, whether it be project managing or working on the new brand that we're doing. It just really depends. But if we do decide to like grow, I don't know. I don't know a number that I'd want. And another thing is I have a bunch of partnerships everywhere. So I might not have like people on my team, but like I know a bunch of people that we do deals together. So it's kind of like a bunch of partnerships.
A lot of, I guess, silent partners.
Right. Well, no, not necessarily. They might be the point of contact for the seller, or maybe they know the GC, or maybe they got the hard money guy. You know, it just depends on the deal. So, I just saw this movie the other day with Denzel Washington. It's called Two Guns.
I've never seen it.
It's a good movie. You should watch him and Mark Wahlberg.
Is he a cop?
I think he is. He's like a Fed, but he goes.
You know, he's a cop in almost every movie.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. But he's in the movie. He goes, "I got a guy." You know, so he's known for the guy who's got a guy, right? So I kind of like to be like that. You're like, I got a guy, right? So, it works out really well actually for the business.
Mm-hmm.
And then being a creative real estate investor, so I think one of the biggest deals I did, it was a realtor who had a seller try to come to her about listing the property like a week before it was going to get foreclosed on by an HOA. And she's like, I can't list this in time.
Right.
And I was like, I can stop the foreclosure and buy it. Let's do it. Right. So, yeah. So we were originally going to do it as a fix and flip. And then the interest rates went up. And I was like, I'm not trying to have my hands caught in the cookie jar during this time. Right. So I'm like, we're just going to wholesale it. Ended up being a pretty big assignment. Good
for you, man.
Yeah.
So then where do you see, I guess, your company going in the future?
We're actually working more on content now. Okay. So we still have the investment company. We got deals going on and we're project managing deals, but content is kind of what I've been learning as another channel for deal flow. Mm-hmm. Just from the people reaching out and JVing. So, I've been recently doing a lot of networking out of state with some big time influencers. I also joined some masterminds where you go and sit 2 days at some of these influencers' offices and you pretty much watch their whole business model broken down. Mm-hmm. And then I got a buddy of mine he like blew up on TikTok for his credit repair business.
Right.
And I was never big on social media. I didn't care about doing content. And he was like, man, you got to do content. It's going to help your business. And what sold me was when he was like, yeah, man, I was like, when I was nobody, there wasn't anything. But as my following went up, his business that started to come in was exponential. I don't even know if that's the right word. Exponential. That's what it is. Yeah, exponential. So he definitely inspired me, which then we started what's called the Creative REI.
Okay.
And so Creative REI's 2 goals is simply education and connecting. And that's it. So if you can learn something or you can connect with somebody that you can actually plug in with and make money off of, or you guys create some sort of value somehow, our whole goal is pretty much a success. And so we host free meetups. I don't charge for anything. There's a lot of gurus out there. They charge for courses. I'm not knocking people that do that because I got homies that are gurus. But for me, I want the information to be free. I want to do my best to see if I can help you. And then I kind of just let God do the rest.
Right. Yeah, you want to give more than you take. That's what whole point of this show is to
Correct.
try to give people opportunities to see different ways to make money.
Yeah.
You know, you got 24 hours in a day just like everybody, but some people just know how to use that
Facts.
in a way that just levels them up to another level.
No, you hit a nail on the head. It's when I started helping people and not worrying as much about getting paid. Granted, you're going to get those people that take advantage of you, right?
Sure.
They're going to not take advantage, but they're going to get what they need. They're going to dip out.
Right.
Like your other guy said. I was watching one of your guys and I was like, man, that's so solid.
Yeah, Eric.
Eric's fire, bro.
Yeah.
I just became a fan, Eric. Shout out.
Yeah,
Shout out to Eric.
He's a fiducia home loans.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, so he definitely kind of hit the nail on the head where, you know, the more you give, the more the money just starts popping up at it wherever. So helping people is really like the main goal. I mean, obviously we're not a nonprofit, right?
Sure.
But we still have the regular operations going while still being able to help people. And I think that is where it's going to grow. And then as the creative REI gets bigger, you know, that's the vision is to bring it back, you know, bigger with it. So, yeah.
Well, I think you're on the right path because what folks don't really understand of how powerful the content game is right now.
Yeah.
And Reels and YouTube Shorts and, you know, even Twitter, whatever it is that you use.
Yeah.
It's free advertising. I mean, I think they're gonna start making us pay monthly for this stuff.
I'm sure.
Because it's free. Like,
Yeah.
you said
They got to find a way to monetize it somehow.
Yeah, because a friend of mine, she got on TikTok. She had 5 million followers, and then she was just had a meal prep show or meal prep company in her apartment. Then she was on a television show, and now she's doing she did that syndication. Now she's doing tours with this band all around the freaking world.
Wow.
And all it came from her saying, I'm gonna just start doing TikToks.
Content, right?
Yeah.
No, it's crazy, man.
And you reach, and you like with the stuff I post just from this show, people see it, and
right.
You don't even realize it because you're working. But man, people are scrolling every day.
Yeah.
More than TV.
Yeah. Well, I think television's gone now.
Oh,
so it's really all like streaming services and social media is like now the main form of information versus like the TV and the news. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so now people have to get out of that mentality like, hey, I'm not a social media person, but if you're in sales,
yeah,
I mean, you're missing it if you're not.
No, trust me, I learned the hard way.
and that's the thing too. Like they don't have to necessarily dance and do all the good. Like you can give serious information or just tell stuff about your day.
Yeah,
that people to you is no thing, but to the person that doesn't know,
right,
you like solve this great problem that they didn't know.
Right. Yeah, so we try to be. So the funny thing is, I was talking to an operations guy, and he's like, "Man, if we can do just being educational and entertaining, that would help." So I was like, you know, worst case scenario, you know, if you guys don't laugh at us, you'll learn something.
Or do both.
Yeah,
or do
why
both.
not? So
then, so the content is actually a marketing company that you're gonna make.
So Creative REI is going to be very similar to Knowledge and Currency. So we essentially want to just interview people who are like top dogs, killing it in the game.
Okay.
And then just kind of have them kick their knowledge to you on, you know, what they're doing, how they're doing it.
Excellent.
We're also going to be walking around doing projects. So as we do our projects, we'll probably have like a crew watching us do the project, how we took down the deal. My favorite thing is case studies. So, hey, here's what we did. Here's how we did it. So we could break down the case studies for you. And then, that's it, man. And then from there, like pretty much create a community where we can teach newbies, right? So we've actually just recently teamed up with PropStream. You familiar with PropStream?
Yep.
Yeah, so we teamed up with PropStream. And so, you know, it's been helping us out teaming up with PropStream because PropStream is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, it tells you a lot of info.
Huge, like the amount of data that PropStream has is literally almost, it's either almost as good as MLS or in some cases better.
Sure.
Because MLS will show you things like how many other properties they own in your MLS. But PropStream will show you how many properties these people own nationwide.
Sure.
So like I just came across a property in Carlsbad, and they like own like 1,000 properties nationwide. I'm like, oh, this sounds like a hedge fund, right?
Yeah, it's probably definitely a hedge fund.
Somebody was just telling me this, like what's really big business right now is selling data, and PropStream does really good.
Oh yeah,
does really good with
data privacy, like that's all a big thing. Compliance and CFPB and all that stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing, one of my friends was saying in Tampa is he met some guys that are buying like movie theaters or like, let's say like a retail Walmart or something, and then they're making it into storage units.
You know what? I just came from a meetup, and the guy's an economist, I think, and he was saying that people are buying office buildings because office buildings are like going down since COVID. Everyone's working remote.
Right.
But his office buildings are being converted into like apartments or condos.
Yeah, I've that happened by my house in Minnesota. There was a big office building in the last crash, and they made it a luxury apartment.
Yeah. So that's one thing to look out. It actually, I didn't even know that until I went to that. Yeah, then this is why we go to meetups.
I mean, that's how we met at a meetup. So it definitely makes sense for people to get out of their comfort zone, go meet some new people. Yeah, might learn something.
Speaking of which,
what's that?
April 28th, Oceanside, California. Free meetup, okay? Free alcohol, okay? Beer and wine. Free food. I'm not selling you anything. I don't have anything to sell you guys. We got some cool speakers coming out. It's the Creative REI presents Wholesaling is Dead. Come see why we called it that.
Yep.
Yeah, plug in. I'm sure you'll have a link for it.
Yeah, you'll give me the link.
I'll send out the link for it.
What other big announcements you got?
What else? No, we got the Creative REI. Creative REI, we got the meetup coming. That's pretty much it, man. We're going to start rolling out some content soon. I mean, we already kind of got some content on my IG right now, and then I just started the IG for Creative REI, and that's kind of building a following. Just came back from a conference in San Antonio, plugged in with a bunch of people there. That was pretty good, really good. The seminar itself was good, and then like the whole networking aspect was even like better. So yeah, man, we're just making moves, and watch out for us. We're coming.
I believe it. If somebody wants to work with you, can they contact you on Instagram or how would they do it?
Yeah. So it's at the official Dante Pena, DantePena. And then also you can follow at Creative REI. Just Creative REI.
Okay. And then they could work with you on getting the deal done.
Yeah. Reach out. I answer my DMs, man. I'm not too busy, and if I can't do it, I got my operations guy on it. So yeah, for sure.
Well, you're not too busy yet.
Yeah, I try not to be, man. Time is the most valuable thing, right? Like everyone's always trying to make money, but like no matter how much money you make, you can't ever use it to buy that time back. Yep. Right. So I try to choose my time wisely.
I think that's a most important thing. That's why every guest I have, I tell them I appreciate them, and the listeners as well.
Yeah, man.
They're taking their time to listen to what I got to say and my thoughts. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Well, we're almost at a minute 40.
This went by quick. This went by super quick.
Yeah.
Man.
I think, I guess, so the couple things that people would like to know. So to get started into just wholesaling is probably the best way to start, and then partner with someone like you, right?
Well, so, okay, here's what I say. You got two types of people. You got people with no money and time.
Yep.
And you got people with no time and money. Right. So if you're either one of those two, reach out. Okay. That's the best way I can say that, because if you ain't got no money, there's some free ways to do this, and if you ain't got no time, there's also some ways for you to do like passively. Right. So we teach you how to do that, because we do raise capital. We work with private lenders. We get people, let's say you got money sitting in your bank account and it's just collecting compound interest. You want to maybe make more than that compound interest, like 10-15% on your money. We back your money back by assets. So that's another way that we operate as well.
Okay. So then if you got the money, let you handle the investment side of it, and then we just break bread after.
Correct.
If you're young, you don't have the money, but you got a bunch of time on your hands, you want to learn, then they can work for you.
Exactly.
And then you basically show them the ropes.
Straight up.
I think those are all awesome things.
It's pretty simple, man. Pretty simple.
Well, 25 seconds. I guess I want to basically tell everybody thank you so much for watching the show. This is episode 37, so we're on the road to 50, and we want to just continue to push out good content, and knowledge the currency. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's good, man.